we go.
These walls can talk. Open your mind and listen.
Trailing down these hollow halls, can you hear me? Staring down these storied walls, can you see me?
Alrighty, just a moment as I'm realizing that this stream is apparently not working on Facebook, supposedly. So
You're just going to have to put up with a little bit of technical dippery-tippery here.
just a tip of just one moment. Yeah, it's saying
It ended.
it ended.
It hadn't even started.
That's odd. Yes, the dynamic duo. Thank you. Oh, that's not fun.
Could we not just post it there later?
Yeah, we're gonna just have to post it later.
All right. Well, too bad for all you people.
Oh, someone says you're on. Thank you for confirming that.
Goody.
Goody. So
All right, Facebook.
StreamYard is
Thank
lying.
you, Facebook user.
Yes, it is.
Whoever you are, you're
I don't know why it's
anonymous.
not showing us, but whatever. We'll have to figure it out later. So, aside from those technical difficulties with StreamYard yelling and lying to us, I decided for my podcast I wanted to discuss what I didn't expect going into the paranormal. Now, it's a little biased because I grew up with it. I wasn't just like, 20 years old. I was like, hey, let's join. I've been involved with it since I was a child. However, I wasn't like deeply entrenched in it. So there were still things that I didn't expect.
You're being used as bait.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Like I understood and, I got it, but there was a lot more stuff that I wasn't aware of before I joined. Oh, we got a Facebook like, which means that we're streaming. Okay. So to begin.
Who is Facebook user?
I don't know.
Facebook user, give me your name.
Sorry. Brandon's, yeah, okay, we're on. Why did you send me a photo of us streaming? I thought that was important. Okay, sorry. This is chaotic. Okay, so to begin, I wanted to talk about the drama. Now, again, because I was not deeply entrenched growing up, I didn't realize that there was so much going on. When you're actually involved. Like I didn't realize that, people are going to leave, people are going to be dramatic about it, people are going to act like, they deserve like, a celebration for successes in the paranormal. And I didn't realize there was drama between teams either, like at all. I did not realize that, there's going to be some teams that you don't like get along with well, and not that that's very like a commonality where like it's very large, but there's still times where like you're gonna judge another team and they're gonna judge you, and it's like a little weird because like I never expected that to come from a paranormal team. Like I could see this in like cheerleading squads, but I definitely did not think that there was going to be a bunch of drama in paranormal. So I guess that was definitely one that stuck out to me.
Did you never watch my So You Want to Start a Paranormal Team video?
I did.
In which case that would have explained that all.
But I watched that after I joined.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. Okay. So next, the politics. So it kind of tags into the drama, but there is still a lot of politics, regarding if you want to be on a TV show or if you're not, and then politics regarding who's better at what, who sucks at this, people get kicked off of teams because they're not, behaving the way they should be. So I definitely did not realize that there's like a lot of political aspect to it, who like, because I guess in my eyes, like CHAPS is always up here and then, everyone, is fighting to get to the top. So I didn't realize that there was so much like a political standard there. And the work involved was another one. I definitely knew that obviously like you have to go to the investigation and you have to investigate and set up and break down. But I definitely was not expecting, 3-4 hours of audio to listen to. Now, these days, Sandy usually just, narrows it down to just the EVPs that she hits, and then we reviews those. But when I joined, I was listening to 3-4 hours of audio, listening for any, minor sound that was out of the ordinary. So that was definitely something I wasn't expecting. And also the work involved in putting together an investigation, contacting clients, developing a case with them, getting details from them to prepare an investigation, booking time off, setting everything up. There's just a lot of extra work that really goes into fully preparing yourself for that. I hope we're still on Facebook. I'm still not sure it's streaming properly.
If anybody's on Facebook, kind of give us a tweet.
Yeah,
tweet or
because
whatever.
StreamYard is lying to us. I obviously knew that, not every investigation is going to provide us with a ton of activity. And I obviously knew that we're going to have to go to investigations in order to not be that asshole that just joins a team just for the fun ones. But, I guess I didn't realize how it is when I've been investigations, especially when I'm on DVR and it's a quiet night where we're there 3-4 hours and I've just sat there writing bare minimal stuff in their log. And I guess it's kind of I never expected that was going to be, what happened is that, we would have boring investigations. But that's the reality of it, is that not every investigation is going to be just full of, we went to one a few weeks ago that I can't name for political reasons, legal reasons, but, there was a ton of activity there. But then I've been to, a handful of investigations where nothing happened. And I sat for 4 hours to be told that, there's nothing. And then that disappoints the client because they just, for some reason, want their house to be haunted. So when we tell them that it's not there was nothing found, then it seems like they usually get upset over it. Oh, this is not. Sorry, I'm just trying to make sure that this is still streaming. If someone could just let me know, that would be greatly appreciated. This is bothering me.
It's not?
No, it says 90 people reach, so I guess they're just not clicking on it. Okay. Anyway, now with the clients, crazy clients and exaggerating clients, I think that one, I obviously knew that, people want their house to be haunted and people want to talk about their house being haunted because it's, fun to talk about. But then we have clients that are terrified of being in their house. But I guess it's more so the exaggerations. I can't count how many times we've been, emailed on just it would seem like this is coming out of a horror movie, what they're emailing us, and what's the likelihood that that's actually happening? Are we about to drive 4 hours for us to have nothing, kind of thing, which is fine, at least to ease their worries. But I think it's just frustrating when you go there and then sometimes they actually do things to make it sound like their house is haunted. They'll, if you're in a different room, they'll move something. And that's why we urge them to not be there, for one, or at least just stay, static in one room. So I think that is a very frustrating part. It's driving me nuts that it's not going on Facebook. Anyway. And yeah, and that goes in with the amount of people that swear their house is haunted. We've been to so many where, they've given you 5 million claims and there's literally, you wouldn't expect it. And then they're easily debunked. The claims they're giving us, you literally have to smash a cupboard down. You hear exactly what they're hearing. So I think that's kind of the frustrating part, is that it's almost as if they don't take the time to really analyze what could be happening. If that makes sense. If I was to ask a team to come to my house over experiences that was happening, and I don't know if this is because I'm biased because I'm in a team, but I would probably go to lengths to, at least try to debunk what I'm hearing. When I first moved in to Brandon's house, actually before I moved in, when I was just staying over there, his pipes, when the water's running, you could hear it trickling into the pipes at any time of the night. And then after the water stopped running, you still hear it hitting against the pipes for a good little while. And I never heard that sound before because obviously I didn't have that in my own house. And so that always would freak me out because I would hear like the for like a good hour, and I was always very shocked as to like what was actually making that sound. So I don't know. I think it's just kind of bothersome that, you know, they like want their house to be haunted, and that's usually for the media aspect, for the notoriety of it. Like they want to be able to post it and invite other people over because we've been told like, oh, we had, you know, a medium here, we had a priest here do an exorcism. I'm like, what are you exercising? Like, what is there that you are exercising? So I think that's probably annoying. Another thing I didn't really understand was the detailed knowledge that you need when you're in a team. And I mean, this spans across like knowledge of other teams, knowledge of the history of the paranormal, and knowledge of like classes of EVPs, you know, along that. I didn't know that you really needed to know all this terminology because I kind of just, you know, EVPs. Okay, well, that's the sound, like the, you know, what we heard. And I didn't realize that there were so many classes to it and levels to the, you know, the hierarchy of what is a really good EVP and what's just a basic one that usually happens all the time. And then, you know, when we were learning about the history and all of like the prime people, I also didn't really know about that until you started making us research into it. So that was pretty cool. It's really bothering me that there's no Facebook. And that goes into like how old the practice is. Like I really didn't know that, like, you know, we had key figures in the paranormal, like in like early 1900s.
Mhm.
So when I was doing research on it and I'm seeing, you know, people that, you know, like paranormal, and now again, they weren't really paranormal investigators back then, but they were part of like the Paranormal Society, or they, you know, and, you know, parapsychologists, and, you know, and then like I would see them like, oh, you know, they were fresh with like Sigmund Freud, and I'm like, that's so weird to hear that like they were, you know, practicing their knowledge at the same time. And what is that?
We've got like a Sasquatch slamming through there.
Yeah. All right then. And I also didn't really understand that there was different types of teams and investigators. I really thought that everyone kind of did the same thing. Obviously, like televised versions were usually more exaggerated, but, you know, I didn't realize that, you know, we have CPRI, who is a very like academic and like,
yeah,
like an academic team. They are patterns, like they really collect data for, you know, 10 years. Versus us, like we go in and sometimes we will investigate the same place, but we go in and we get our information afterward when we're listening to the audio and watching the video, whereas CPRI really doesn't make any broad statements until, you know, 5 years later. So I think that was definitely something I didn't understand. And then like other teams that have multiple different types of, you know, parapsychology like esque things, like mediums, psychics, all that on their team, whereas some places don't at all. So I think like learning all that was something I was not that sure of. I just feel like we're not having that much activity, and I think it's because it's not on Facebook. I think that Facebook user might.
Well, I'll tell you what you can do then is, are you able to work on that while I talk for a minute or two then?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they'll see you.
Give me your sheet, all right?
Okay.
And that way I could just bounce off and talk. So certainly.
I still have more. I'm just.
Okay. Well, I'll basically recumber my thoughts on what you have here. So while Fiona works on that, obviously because it's driving her crazy and I can see it.
Yeah.
Definitely hitting back with the drama. You know what? I think one of the things that they don't understand is how much, say, somebody who decides to leave a team, and this is not pointing it out to any one particular person, because we've had 100 people leave our team. They all, you know, largely share the same thing, and that is we find a blame point. There are some people that leave because their lifestyle just doesn't, just doesn't stick with what it is. And some people get work too much, or it's not what they thought it was. Like they thought it was going to be a big scary thing that happens all the time, and it's not. So it wasn't fulfilling. But a lot of the times that people do leave, I think some people don't realize that, like, this is a social thing. We are together in a social unit. So therefore, it's like having, it's a family. And when somebody leaves the family in discourse, it can definitely affect how the rest of the family gets along. As well as I know from myself personally, when certain people leave and make a big stir about it, I do get pretty upset about it. Like, I can't lie, I get pretty emotionally involved sometimes because, generally speaking, being the head of a team, and that was something I didn't think about, is being the head of a team. The drama that gets pointed and pushed at you, like it's all your fault, can get a little upsetting, right? Like, you're like, I screwed up again, that type of thing, right? So that you're right, married with the politics, because there's teams that you're going to deal with and talk to that you may not agree with their methodology.
Yeah,
that's natural. And there's going to be some teams that really like the stage up and make it look bad for everybody. And if you're kind of like me, you're somebody who's actually going to make that an issue. What if you removed it and put it back on?
yeah, I think I'm gonna have to.
So, that's what happens, right? Is that there's always going to be politics. Unfortunately, you've got people that are like, oh, no, we don't bother with any politics that are involved at all. There's no politics involved in what we do. Oh, there you go.
There we go.
So
Okay.
are we now streaming there?
We should be.
Okay, you check that. I mean, like, it's going to happen. I never. Maybe you got to refresh.
Oh, there we go. Okay, there we go.
Okay, we're on now.
All right.
Hey,
so,
hey, Facebook fans.
Hey.
You probably just joined us. I was probably Peter Wren's Facebook page that came from.
That's what I assume. So.
So, and now talking about the work involved, absolutely. I really got to, like, I hand this one out more to Sandy because, like, I set up the investigations and all that noise and the back and the forth, and now Fiona's doing a lot of that. And then we go and investigate, you're right. And there's obviously one of the things that some people don't realize when they get mad, you didn't give me the results that I wanted. They don't realize that it also cost you, like say said recent investigation between gas and hotel was about, say, $350 our cost. So we pay to investigate, right? Like we're paying money to go out and investigate. I didn't expect that coming in so much, but it really does cost a lot of money. And then after the fact, okay, so then you're doing all the social media shit, which I tend to pour on you pretty hard now. And Sandy's doing hours and hours and hours and hours of review, then isolating them, and then sharing them, and then we're doing peer review.
Here's all the Facebook comments coming in.
And then, hi, Linda. And then all of a sudden, now we got to produce. Right. And then we got to go through video and edit the video and yada yada. So one case takes like a month.
Long.
You're back to it.
Yeah. So okay. So for all those that are just joining, sorry, we were having technical difficulties. So I'm just gonna revisit.
Keep typing. Say hello.
Yeah. I'm gonna revisit quickly what we were talking about. If you really don't want to rewatch 20 minutes of the video, I don't blame you.
You're pretty boring.
So things I didn't expect heading into the paranormal, the drama. I really didn't think that there'd be, a bunch of drama between paranormal teams, but it is. The politics, the patriarchy, or not the patriarchy, the hierarchy of teams, who's better than who, and, fighting over stuff like that. The work involved, again, all the social media, the hours of audio listening, blah, blah, blah. Again, for non-paranormal people, I guess it's not blah, blah, blah to you. But again, it's just, didn't understand that there'd be etc. Boring and quiet investigations. I really most of them, and I obviously knew that we weren't going to go into every investigation with wild evidence, but I also didn't think I'd be sitting at a DVR for 4 hours with nothing happening. However,
there are investigations that are as boring as days long, but that we get evidence.
Yes, right. So that's true. So I guess there is silver lining in sitting there for 4 hours, but. Hi. Yeah, I know.
Hey,
sorry,
Tracy.
we're about 20 minutes late because Facebook hates us. Furthermore, sorry, I'm just running quickly through this because
Well, the Facebook people just joined.
Facebook people just joined, but we had 20 minutes of me talking about these already. Crazy clients and exaggeration. Is beyond me what some of the things clients tell me and tell us. I'll get an email and it literally sounds like a horror movie. And in the reality of it, are they having experiences? Very well, possibly. Are they that exaggerated? Likely not. So I guess it's kind of frustrating because like we'll go to investigations and they'll try to do things while we're there to make it sound like their house is way more haunted than it is. And again, amount of people that swear their house is haunted goes in with that. Everyone, and then they get upset when we tell them that we really didn't hear much.
Which by again doesn't mean
anything.
We
It's
just catching it.
But then they get upset because they want the notoriety of it. They want to be able to invite other teams in there and I don't know, advertise it. Detailed knowledge necessary. I'm gonna backtrack into that. Like the classes of EVPs, I really didn't know. How. The historical figures, the history that you need to know. You need to know multiple teams and how they, go in together. How well the practice is. I mentioned this earlier, but I definitely did not realize like how old like parapsychology is. When I'm reading into it, and some parapsychologists were, working with Sigmund Freud, and that's just like, as a psych student, like that is just something that is like Sigmund Freud is old to me, so like I don't really
he's not old, he's dead.
He's dead.
Yeah.
But I really didn't associate Sigmund Freud being at the same time as like parapsychology was thriving. And then just before I realized that Facebook wasn't actually streaming, I was talking about the different types of investigations and teams. Now I mentioned like Robert Bradley from CPRI, they're a very data collecting academic team. Versus us, we go in, we investigate.
We're a pragmatic
team. We'll analyze everything following the investigation, and then we will provide said results. Whereas Robert Bradley and his team may take 5 years before they make a definitive statement of what is happening. So I think that's pretty wild. And, obviously the ones that stream on television are going to be more exaggerated. That's a given, to gather that audience in. I'm not expecting them to be, not excessive with what they're talking about, because then no one's going to watch it, especially those who aren't in the paranormal world. They're not going to want to watch 2 hours of television where nothing's happening. So of course they're going to be dramatic about it. So moving on.
Now we're caught up.
So
none of you have missed a damn thing.
Yeah.
Now we're where we have to be.
So I'm so sorry.
That was then.
Everyone's watching.
We're now at this point
Yes.
in time. We're now.
Yes, I apologize for anyone who had to hear all that twice. What I definitely also didn't expect was the amount of TV shows. Now, obviously, I knew, Ghost Hunters and I can't even think
Ghost
of it.
Adventurers.
Ghost Adventures. Like I obviously knew, the big ones that were there, but all the Amazon Prime ones and the Netflix ones and the ones on Global and Discovery. Like I didn't realize that there were so many other smaller TV shows that consist of a lot of the same people in the background, but I didn't realize it. And then, Amazon Prime usually has a lot of the stupid ones. I'm not going to lie. Like he'll send me one to watch and, they're losing their mind over like a light flicker. And it's just like, really? Like, would you do that if you weren't at an investigation? Like if I'm at home and my light is flickering, I'm going to go, wow, the bulb is dead. Not there's something haunting me. So it just makes me laugh because they're really just being silly.
I must think we've got to be able to get on Amazon Prime.
Oh, we have to.
Like our videos aren't like all that exciting, frankly, because we're just not that type of team. But we've got to be able to get something on Amazon.
We got to, put a nice.
We are working on like a Wikipedia page and shit like that, because we got to get with the next century. But like Amazon Prime is obviously our next step.
Yes, for sure.
Because I know that there's some. I don't know what I want to call them, like B class.
Yes.
You got your A class. You kind of got like your Jason Hawes,
right,
and your Zach Baggins.
Yes.
But like a B class being like not on cable TV.
Right.
Steve Shipley's in there and all that. Absolutely. We should. That's your next project, social media.
Okay.
Get us on Amazon Prime.
And also, just I guess I didn't really have this.
Okay. But that's just what she does to me all the time.
Amount of movies. Now, obviously, there's not really a lot of movies specifically tailored to investigating on its own. I think Insidious is pretty much I think it's Insidious is the one that's really the closest to, investigating. But just so many like haunted movies where something is happening. The Paranormal Activity, they've got the TV or the fucking camera running for 97 hours straight. Once the battery change, like we're just somehow lasting forever. And even if it is plugged in, cameras still go through wear and tear. So this is pointing, they have like 800 security cameras in their house and not one of them has had a problem with it. And again, those movies came out like in my younger teens. So I guess I don't know. I guess they didn't really want to bring in the educational aspect into it, but that was pretty much, but again, it's not really like ghosts. Like there's always just a bunch of random shit going on. Which brings me to the point of the influence that like paranormal investigating has on the media. And by what I mean by that is that, we have, Zach Baggins and Jason Hawes. And then when they, have like a pretty influential episode, occasionally you might end up seeing a movie, like obviously not right this second, but you'll see a movie that has aspects in it that you probably wouldn't have seen in a movie had, these big teams not advertised it as such. Because, like especially like old movies like the original Poltergeist, like what the fuck was that? Like, it just, what even is that? Like, how do you expect that for anyone to believe? Now, that's pretty crazy. Like, a girl died like after the movies. Like that would.
Oh, like the whole cast.
Yeah, like the whole cast. So that was pretty weird.
Yeah.
But I think it's just funny to see how much like paranormal investigating has an influence on the media.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Almost like how much of a boom to our business.
Yeah.
Okay, so I can relate. If you don't mind me bantering in on your shivel.
Go for it.
Like I could say the same thing. Okay, like I studied a martial art called ninjutsu for 27 years. In the early 80s, you had the Master TV series, and you had Enter the Ninja, Revenge of the Ninja, everything Shogosugi did, which was like the golden age of ninjutsu. Yeah. All of a sudden, there was a fucking ninjutsu dojo everywhere, right? And then it became a laughing stock, which I'll admit to. Okay, as well as you're totally right. Like when Poltergeist was around, or how about this for the Wiccans? Hey, if there's any Wiccans watching this, you tell me what your life turned into. Like, okay, so here you are, you're a happy little Wiccan, right? You're just doing your thing, right? And then the movie The Craft came out.
I love
Kaboom!
That. I do love that movie.
All of us, I love the movie too.
Everyone loves it.
But the thing is all of a sudden, everybody in the United States and Canada had to have a 4, and they had their athames and all that lot like that. And like maybe like there was some attachment to what actually was involved with the Wiccan religion, but all of a sudden everybody was like, I'm Wiccan.
Well, that's the thing, and I think it's frustrating is that when people want to make, now it does get called out for this anyway, but modern movies, when they're trying to make it based off of an actual like something like Wiccan, just etc., they don't bring in enough information. Like they don't bring experts in when they're making these movies or TV shows, and then it does create a mockery out of it. Now modern day shows and movies are slightly getting better at it, but unfortunately it's still an issue.
Well, I guess with that though, I think it's almost like who was the experts at the time,
right?
And, well, and how much actual information did they have at that point in time? Like, okay, that's going to pick on some people, but we'll say Lorraine Warren. So she would have been an expert back in the day, like say when Amityville and stuff like that was coming out. But how much experience did she have other than the psychic side of things?
I guess that makes sense.
So I mean, it is what it is. It's what's going to happen. And like now, you're going to have people that go to Jay Hawes and Zach Baggins.
Right. Yeah.
So depending on what camp you're a part of, Baggins being a little bit more of the dramatic side of things, whereas I think Jay's a bit more, he's a bit more serious, certainly more authoritative.
Right.
So look, it is all, hey, Cody. Hope it is all well. Very, very getting much better. Actually, I've been back to work now for 6 months, and A lot of things are better. And I know things are doing well with you this lately too. That's awesome. So going into all these things and what these movies did, and anybody who's investigated will know that when a new movie comes out and it catches the ear, all of a sudden you're going to have a bunch of new teams. Everything.
Yeah.
What's really big now that I wasn't when I got into the world of the paranormal, it didn't exist, right? When I got into the world of paranormal, Instagram did not exist.
Yeah.
Facebook did not exist. All that shit didn't exist, right? YouTube didn't exist. Yada 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 yada. That's why we like our oldest videos are only 13 years old. The team is older than that, and I've been investigating for almost 30 years.
Yeah.
But that stuff didn't exist.
Well, yeah.
So it definitely influenced the difference. I wasn't prepared for what was going to happen once social media went kaboom, and then I'm out there investigating, but then some yutz who has cute little emoticons on their investigation video is the new authority, which is a shame. But look, we're all going to have different opinions on what's right and wrong. I'm just more opinionated, and generally I'm right.
Yeah, well, that's okay.
That's okay, because I am.
Opinions are fine as long as they're respectful. That's
or
how
mine.
Okay.
Or mine.
Now my last point, like my last official point that, you know, we can still backtrack, I guess, for the last 15 minutes. But my last point is now the influence that we've gained from the media, and not even just specifically our team, but, you know, paranormal teams all around, you know, after it's kind of funny, but like we'll watch, you know, horror movies, or we'll watch, you know, paranormal TV shows, etc. And sometimes we may actually take something that we surprisingly learned from it and bring it into, you know, further investigations. Now that's limited because obviously most TV shows and movies are dramatized, but, you know, there still might be a few questions or a few methods that you might actually see, like, oh, hey, that's actually seems like a decent idea. Like,
absolutely. We have to remember too, like TV shows, regardless of how serious they are, there's still a producer involved, and nobody wants to watch an hour of, are you there? What's your name?
Well, that's the thing.
And history and research reports. It is what it is.
Yeah.
And yeah, you're right. And once in a while, like, look, even like there's been shittier shows that I've watched something and went, you know what?
That's actually
I actually really kind of like that.
Kind of a good idea.
That goes back to the idea of like, okay, so I've been around for a long time, and we've done investigations with teams that we were training at the time.
Right.
Like they asked us to go on investigations with us, and they had some things they were doing that I'm like, dude, I'm going to steal that.
Yeah.
That's a great idea.
Well, that's
right. And it's okay. It's okay to admit that, because that's part of the ego game, right? Like, there's no way nobody does this better than me, until Dan's saying, what are you saying? Why do you think I slept? Well, now he says that, you know, as Dan investigated obviously with us for lots of years, and the amount of times that I would go around the corner and catch Dan asleep in a chair was unreal.
And you stole it. LOL.
Yes, and I stole it. Okay, because I just said that. I thought we were being chipped on pretty hard. I'm like, wait, no, you're right. Look, it's okay, but I'm at least honest enough of an individual to come out and say, you know what, say like, we didn't, okay, here's one of our audio recorders. I'm recording the show. And most times when we record, you know, it was just like that. We did investigations with cops. We were working with them to give them experience. And I saw that they were using a headset on it. And I'm like,
that's a good
give
idea.
It over to me. Put it on my head. It's like a parabolic dish. I can hear everything going on. And it kind of isolated the person listening to audio. So I thought, that's a pretty damn good idea. We're going to start doing that. And we've done it ever since. And, you know, working with CPRI, I've worked with him. Rob Bradley's been a big influence for me as far as it's not like we do things totally different, right? And they do. But there were certain things that they did that I was honest enough to say, you know what, dude, like he's a good enough friend to me that he made me question myself a number of times.
Right.
Like he would message me after I put an investigation on Facebook or wherever, and he'd be like, how did you come to that conclusion?
Okay.
Why did you come to that conclusion?
Okay.
And I would have to sit down and really analyze it because I respected him enough to do it.
Right.
And I thought, shit, you know, so I grew a little bit there.
Yep.
And sort of went, I need to question a lot, which is funny because my next show that we're doing, I'll talk about that in a bit, is on theories.
Right.
And I've largely questioned, honestly, most theories that exist today. And it makes you go back and question results from years ago. And that's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay. Peer review and questioning your own stuff. So that was another thing I wasn't prepared to do. Like when I came into the world of investigation, it was like, rah, 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 guys, I'm going to catch a ghost.
Yeah.
Right? You're right. I didn't expect the drama. I didn't expect the emotional upheaval.
No.
I didn't expect to be near tears sometimes
Yeah.
with frustration because it's all your fault.
Yep.
Right? And then the rumors, and then the
Right. That's exactly.
and the teams that align with teams. Like there are teams we align with.
Right.
You know, like I could say like here in Ontario, you know what I mean? Like Wes Coleman and Cops, close friends to mine.
Right.
Okay. Johnny Buff from up at Bytown. And these are people that you would send stuff to, right? I speak to Jen Case from Tops on a regular basis.
Yep.
You know, of course, the boys from Capture, I have to give plus to because they were part of my team at one time.
Right.
You know, et cetera, et cetera. So, yeah, there's certainly things that I wasn't expecting. The biggest thing that you brought up that I wasn't expecting getting involved, because I thought it was just going to be all shits and roses.
No.
Like we were all going to go out and be cool, buddy,
Yeah.
punch each other up. Let's go investigate.
Yeah.
And then it's like,
It's
wow.
way different. And I mean, I'm sure Satori Hawes also feels like this baby. I don't know, I'm just assuming.
Ironically, that her fiance is on with us.
Oh, look at that. Hello. But being, you know, the child of, and I say prom investigator as you were like the
Okay,
first.
well, I'm not garbage.
No, what I mean is that you were like the first kind of big Canadian team. Like,
No, okay, us and Pete Wren.
okay,
Us and
yeah.
BPS.
What I mean is that, like,
I guess.
especially like in Ontario, I guess, to specify it, at least for me, anyway.
Okay.
So, but anyway, I get a lot of flack. I didn't join because of family, first of all, because I actually like doing it regardless of his influence on me. But also, we've actually had a shit ton of family members in this team that have all left, and
all the kids have been involved.
All of the kids were involved, all the cousins somehow investigate, and none of them stayed. Whereas, you know, I don't know, and it's not him. I just genuinely have had, like, I just appreciate this, and I enjoy doing it. And I don't feel forced. Like, I'm sure at times when you're struggling, you think I'm just here just to make you feel better about it. But like, I actually like enjoy being on the team and investigating. And I mean, obviously we have Shannon, who is his niece and my aunt cousin, because
Whatever that works out too.
Yeah. My
aunt, cousin, sister,
yeah,
mom.
My aunt cousin and my godmother. But so.
She is your godmother too.
Yes. But also, I guess what I was trying to say is that, like, especially with Satori, I mean, when we've heard members that have rudely left, they have definitely made like passive aggressive comments regarding, like, you know, they don't have to say my name for me to know that they're talking about me, especially like and Queen, yes. But especially just regarding, like, oh, you know, we go to a lot of investigations, yet, you know, and then, you know, they're talking about you, but this person, you know, never goes to any, but somehow, you know, they get all the credit. And I think it's frustrating because, yeah, while I may not go to every investigation for work or whatever reasons, I run the social media, I advertise like crazy, you know, I'm doing a lot of behind the scenes work, regardless of them. Like I'm setting up an investigation potentially that I may not even be able to go to. Yeah. And so that's the thing, is that I'm still doing a lot of behind the scenes work.
I think one of the things too that a lot of people disregard as far as you go is that, you know, you're in your 4th year of university on a degree program.
Yeah.
It's not like you have a great deal of fucking time.
Well, that's the thing, is
and you work.
I work full time, you know, I work Friday through Sunday. So me trying to tell my boss that, hey, I need almost an entire weekend off. First of all, that lessens how much money I'm getting paid. And second of all, that's a pain in the ass for him, because then he has to cover, you know, 40 hours of shifts. But so what I meant regarding Satori is that definitely people probably feel like there's nepotism involved, and, you know, she gets more because she's the son, or sorry, the daughter.
Tell Cody.
And I definitely have seen that on my end, you know, just especially when they leave and post it on our Facebook page, and then you know that they want me to see it. And so I think it just gets frustrating. And I don't really get any nepotism. I mean, at all. I get shit on when I've done things wrong. You know, I get critiqued. Sure, did I get involved on the podcast over anyone else? Well, I live 3 minutes away, so it kind of just worked hand in hand.
Okay, and to defend that, right? Like it was, you coming on the podcast, obviously being part of the team, being part of the
Right.
social media
Right.
was a big part of it. Yeah, it was a good dad-daughter sort
Sure.
of shtick and something for us to do together. And I know that like something you probably also deal with that Satori deals with is the criticism sometimes Jason Hawes gets.
Right.
She probably does take a little personally as well,
Sure.
get a
Yeah.
little defensive. We do have a lot of family, and I know that also people do think that you get a pass. I can tell you, all you got to do is talk to Shannon,
Yeah.
talk to Sandy, who's
Yeah.
my wife, and talk to Fiona, who's my daughter, about how much I completely disregard the fact that they're family members.
Yeah.
I generally, if something has gone south, I shit on the team as
Oh.
a whole,
Yeah.
right? And it's all of our fault. Mine primarily, it's my fault first, but no, everybody's going to get crap.
Yeah. Well, that's the
And,
thing.
and I've had obviously nephews on this team that, you know, I've basically said, okay, well,
Right.
poof, right?
Goodbye.
You know, didn't get nasty about it. No
Well,
reason
yeah.
to get nasty. You know, this is like, okay, well, this isn't your gig right now. So
Well, yeah, and you've even questioned me here a few times. Where, are you sure you want to do this? And I stay because I want to, and I
Yep.
make the time for it. So that's why is that if you're not always seeing me on investigation, it's largely because I do a lot of background work. Just like you
Well-
know, Jeff and Shanna, they don't investigate because they run the website and they do
well,
everything
they have another
else.
life, right?
They-
You know,
yeah.
and it's been a particularly shit.
Oh.
The last 2-3 years, like due to COVID, I don't know how many members of our team have been off on the DL. One who's on our podcast tonight, well, not on,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, had like a fucking heart attack and I don't know, like a life preserver shoved in her chest. And then, you know, me, I basically had my guts from here down, decided to stop working for 2 years still, you know, and then another one had a heart attack
Yeah.
and then another one had to get his head cut open.
Yeah.
And like, holy F, man. Besides COVID, we are basically the hospital team. We are the Ontario Health Insurance Plan paranormal team. We should change our name to OHIP. Oh, man, I'm going to get sued. Now I call ourselves OHIP.
Uh-huh.
We got to make that acronym into something. Ontario Haunting
Illness
Paranormal. The Ontario Haunted Illness Paranormal. That is our sub name. I coined it. Nobody else is allowed to use it.
Boomers for sure.
We're not, Dan, you're the only boomer on our team, you and John. Oh, wait.
And
And Linda.
Linda's 65 today.
Linda,
Everyone
our
wish her
team
a
member
happy
is 65.
birthday.
Happy birthday.
Woo!
I am a Gen X. I am the real working generation.
I worked 65 hours last week.
You're a millennial Z.
Yes, I'm a cusper. Some websites will
Oh,
tell you.
she's a cusper.
Some websites will tell you I'm a millennial, and some websites will tell you I'm a Gen Z. I am born in 1999. I will take the millennial and stick it on my head. I don't associate with the Tide Pod.
Well,
either.
you were the last generation. I was the last generation to laugh at our own children's misfortune. Now you feel guilty about it. I watched a ceiling start to collapse and rain all over you in your crib, and I laughed profusely, to which your mother was very angry with me. But you yourself would have laughed if you watched the footage.
I don't know. Like I've watched Benji run into a wall one time, and I laughed pretty hard. Like I didn't feel
Because
bad.
it's okay to enjoy stupidity.
Yeah, I mean, like I felt like when he was a puppy, he was even funnier.
Which is another shock going into the paranormal, realizing how stupid things can be.
Yes. Oh, for sure. Like.
And how many dumb accidents you can get into. I'm surprised half of us haven't been in the hospital after some investigations.
Oh yeah.
You know, or the mold that we've inherited, you know,
Oh,
or were you ever prepared for what some people's homes look like when you went into them?
no.
I don't know about you. I'm a guy. All right, I wear the same pair of jeans for like a month or two. I probably haven't changed my underwear since I was 28. But going into some people's homes when you're actually having to shimmy down the side
No.
and think to yourself, if I had people coming into my home, I might think to tidy up a tad.
Yeah, and like just the cleanliness overall. Like some of their bathrooms are disgusting. I'm like, you want people going in your washroom when it looks like this? What?
Yeah, we had one guy. Shannon will remember this one. His house, interesting collection. Like he had a bunch of Wurlitz. Sorry, that's a jukebox machine. That's a machine that used to play records.
Okay.
I know you've never seen one.
I literally have.
But the house was full, as well as I'm saying billions of dollars in records. But the guy came to the door in a pair of satin shorts and a football jersey and a wig. And there's no room to move in his house. We were trying to investigate in his house, and like Shanny's small, but like it was like a shoulder width. The entire house was no wider than that. So we're going down these little channel ways, and then he sat down and gave us Tang and like frozen cake or something from the freezer. And Shan openly said, "I'm not eating that," because of course I was being prepped to get like thrown in the pit like Silence of the Lambs. He was going to scut off my skin and make a jacket out of it. That's things that I'm surprised at. You know, you go into homes like that. A Sara Lee cake and Tang. Who the fuck has that?
Yum.
Yeah, it was poison.
Super.
Do you want to know what happened to me health-wise? Do you know why my intestines and
It's
below
'cause of
stopped
that.
working? It was because of that
Because
night.
of that.
I'm going to find you, man. I know where you live in East York. Oh, I gave away the city. I'll have to watch out for the
So
other
my
900,000 people that are there. Whatever.
Definitely Lisa's.
We're going to have a show about our horror stories one night. I think I've done it in the past, but not on this format. And that might be a very good one. I know that like our next shows, we're taking a month.
Yeah.
The next show I'll be in the United States. So we're doing on May 10th, and it's going to be on theories, different theories. Me and Shannon are actually working on that. And I'll be doing my thoughts and roots and all that. Go on with your own show here.
Okay.
You got another 15 minutes.
Well, I wanted to.
I won't even get over your talk. Am I talk? Which...
Can you stop talking?
Once...
Yeah, that's me. Anyway, just gonna preface by saying, if you were wondering where the investigation that we hyped up last weekend was, unfortunately, Unfortunately, we had to pull it due to
contractual
disagreements. So while we had great evidence from that,
was an excellent investigation.
An excellent investigation.
Go back in a heartbeat.
Unfortunately, yeah, any day if she decided that she wants us back, I would go anytime. So unfortunately, you will not be able to find it. However, I'm just going to sum up. It was great. We had awesome EVPs, awesome experiences. But yeah, so I'm sorry, everything I hyped it up to be on our social media is no longer able to be visible. So there's about 10 minutes left. I've kind of just gone through, twice of everything that I didn't expect. But definitely, I think the work involved in the drama were the big two that I was not expecting. When people leave and just act like, they're just so dramatic about it. I'm like, hey, just leave. Send an email. Goodbye. You don't need the post.
That's the easiest thing.
Yeah, send an email.
It's not my gig.
Yeah. Send an email and then move on. You don't.
Actually, it's perfect because we had a member that really recently. It was a respective email. Yeah. It was just like, I made this choice.
Yeah. But like the last thing I want to do is open my phone to a notification of someone just giving this dramatic exit to the team. And I'm like, was it necessary? Like, you could have just shot him an email and said bye, and then we all would have found out because he would have made a post just like he did when the last person left. And then, the work involved, again, thankful again that Sandy does really dumb down the audios just really to the EVP.
Just call my wife dumb.
No, God. No, she like.
Oh, I see.
Minimize.
She makes it okay for us stupid people.
Yeah, pretty much.
Right.
She minimizes it to just pretty much the EVPs for us to listen to. Whereas when I first started, it was like 3 hours of, listening, and you might hear like one thing.
Well, you had to understand.
Right.
You had to get the sensation of doing it.
So
Sandy's been doing that for moons, but.
And then, as the social media person, it's definitely hard to like keep up with it because again, to do well on social media, you need to be posting consistently. But of course, I am a student. I do work, and it's very my line of work. It's very hard for me to videotape and advertise because I can't have evidence of where I am. So it's just kind of hard. Like I have to find good days, and I need to know exactly what I'm going to say, and then it's a lot of re-recording, deleting, re-recording, deleting because it doesn't sound good or I screwed up. And then now we're trying to pull together the Wikipedia. I'm going to pull together a Pinterest account. The Wikipedia will be nice so that we can add it to things if they want to search us up. And when people Google CHAPS Paranormal, it'll take us to the Wikipedia as well instead of just our website. And, so I guess those were like kind of the big two.
So are you surprised at how hard it is to fill time with fresh topic? No. I only say that because like most investigations, I'm a lead, right?
Yeah.
I do most of the talking. And I've had people in the past where I used to give a chance for everybody to be a lead investigator.
Right.
And at the end of the investigation, they would say, I didn't realize how hard it was to continue a routine of questions and topic matter off the top of your head.
That's tricky because we've done investigations where other people were supposed to be leading and they unfortunately did not do a great job. And I felt that I had to take over. So there was a lot of times where I was like, mentioning things that they could be saying, mentioning things they could be doing. And, as far as goes as routine questioning, a lot of the time I'm stumped in the middle of investigation because you've already asked all the questions I thought of. But, I don't think it's hard for asking questions. It kind of just comes naturally to me and like what to ask. Because, again, I'm not going to go in there and, asking just some random like potential spirit, what color is this? Obviously, I'm going to ask something that
I have never asked about color.
I'm going to ask something that
I'm going to do that now.
pertains to the investigation or whatever the clients are experiencing. So I don't think I would struggle that much with it.
No, I wonder. It's because this is the first podcast that you dealt with on your own.
Thank you, Dan. Difficult not to feel. Yes, Shannon, that's the thing. I've done solos like in the room, and sometimes I feel like I'm pretty much asking the same thing over and over again, just in different ways. So
well, that's what we do.
Well, okay. What I mean is that it just
saying. That's what we do.
Anyway.
I just make it sound well. Our shit's still boring, but I try to make it a little less boring.
Well, okay, like think about it. Like the last investigation, we had a lot of questions to go on to because we were having experiences, so we knew more things.
Absolutely.
Like I mean, like, but if nothing's happening, then you really don't. You're kind of stuck onto where you want to talk. Whereas, if a lot's happening, then you can bounce off what's happening.
That's why I think again the surprise. Certain positions are really important on a team. Like it's really important to have a co-lead.
Yeah.
Like Shani and I on many investigations, she was my co.
Yeah.
She's not interested in being a lead at all. She doesn't want to be the one that's responsible to have to say it.
Right.
But I could bounce off her and she could bounce off me, and we had a good sense of humor between us. That helps.
Well, and also some people belong in certain positions. Like, I mean, I did DVR for the first little while, but then but this is also because I like doing it. But after the last investigation, not being on the DVR at all, it was actually nice to get out there and be able to experience these things. And, you made the point. I'm really too animated to be stuck on the DVR because I'm able to, talk and ask questions. Whereas we have other ones that belong on camera, video, DVR. Well, that's the thing.
There's no insult to that.
No.
Sandy generally handles audio.
Yeah.
Because she's quiet.
Right.
She's not interested in yapping, but she's an investigative person where she'll go and check something out and fiddle with it.
Right.
Linda has, like, I watched the video footage from the last investigation. You couldn't even tell the camera was being held.
Yeah.
It looked like it was on a tripod. Great position. Some people just really created it. Sydney was our videographer for like 11 years.
Yeah.
I didn't put her on anything else because, man, you're good at something.
Yeah. And why not
just do it?
Yep.
Right?
John, yes, it's very hard.
It is a tough one.
Definitely.
And me, like, what am I bad at? I can't videotape to save my life. I'm not great on audio. My wife will tell you that I can't shut up.
Yeah, I mean, for me,
Neither can you.
because I'm a photographer by hobby, doing photos for the team, I struggle with because I try to actually get not team photos. Like I focus on other things and it just ends up taking away from what I should be taking photos of. I actually haven't done video on any investigations, but I also talk too much. So
I generally give the SLR to Shan.
Yeah.
Shan knows what I want. There's what it really comes down to.
No,
Eventually, when your team gels,
Mhm.
they know what you want.
Yeah.
Like Linda on video camera, she knows where I want her to be.
Yeah, and that's
Right?
why when I
And
trained,
Shan knows what pictures I want her to take.
that's why when I was training, now I didn't need to train John, obviously, because he's been here forever. But when I was training Brandon on the DVR, I said, like, originally, like when I first did DVR, I did a whack ton of notes that were like the most minuscule sounds. But as I started doing it, like I knew what to take notes of, and so that's how I taught Brandon. I said, kind of write, like, even if you hear a weird knock, write it down, because although we might know where it came from, but if we don't, then we can match it to the video and the audio. And so I know what you want DVR wise, so that's why I just show everyone on the DVR. But yeah,
So we did just recently have an investigation. The video will be up fairly soon. Just went over the audio, and we do have some hits we have to try and debunk. But if these hits are good, they're good.
Mhm.
And this was a great client who wants everything up. And we've got investigations coming up in the Niagara region, down near Port Colborne.
Mhm.
We've got them up all over. It's now starting to get the boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
We're going to have better topics and all kinds of more topics for this podcast. Again, May 10th will be our next podcast. I've got a month to work on that one. It's a bit more academic. Maybe it'll be a bit more boring. Who knows, right? I'll try to make it seem a bit better.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm guessing we're pretty much done for the night.
Yep.
Appreciate it.
So I hope, again, like if you guys just want to listen to, like if you guys don't want to restart after this is done and listen to the first 20 minutes, I don't blame you. I ended up summing it up right after.
So you don't need to.
You really don't need
Honestly,
to.
there's just no point.
Yeah. So you can just listen to, 30 minutes.
You don't even have to watch. You don't have to listen to our show at all.
No, you don't have to.
Don't come back.
Anyway, so that was my first podcast, and I was happy because it was my choice of the topic. And, so anyway, thank you guys so much for tuning in every other week. I appreciate it. He appreciates it.
See you May 10th.
See ya.